Hi, I'm Steve from the Maker's Cave, and today we're going to continue our build-up of the 1/8 scale model of the Back to the Future DeLorean that we started before. We had issues 1 and 2 before. This is issues 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to open this up, see what parts there are. We're going to put them together and see what we have at the end. Okay, we're going to open the box up. We'll see what's in here. All right, we have the 3 instruction manuals, issues 3, 4, 5, and 6. Put them right over here. And it looks like we have a tire and a rim. Oh, this looks like it's the back of the car, or at least where the trunk would be. This is the Mr. Fusion. Guess we're going to be putting together that assembly today. And these look like some control arms and springs for the front suspension. So what we'll do now is we'll take these out of the packages, we'll null everything up, and then we'll be back to put it all together. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but that's a tiny little 1/2 of a Mr. Fusion. All right, so we got everything all fairly nulled out. I left these in the packages because it just worked so nice. Took these pieces out. Now we have a whole bunch of new screws. If you remember from our last build, we only had 2 screws, which were an AP and a BP, but we got quite a few more now. So we're going to take a couple seconds here, or maybe a couple minutes. We're going to put these all in here where they need to be.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, there we go. Whole bunch of screws now. So we've got 8, 9 sets of screws right now, 9 different types. Okay, so now we start building. All right, we brought you guys in closer here, so we're going to start off with issue 3. Looks like we're going to be doing just the wheel right here for the tire. Step 1, push the rim into the center of the tire. The part should fit snugly, but it is not yet fixed in place. Okay, it's in there. Step 2, press the hubcap 3B into the rim. Okay, 1 tire completed. Step 3, take the hub 3D, and press it into the washer. It's just this tiny little thing right here. Okay. There's the center hub in there. That is the fully assembled wheel, and it should look like this. Okay, that's it for issue 3. Let's move on to issue 4. Okay, now we're starting to do the Mr. Fusion reactor. Fit the yellow 4C in the center of 4B. Okay. Step 3. The reactor disk 3. All right, part down. All right, the rest of this is going to be a voiceover until the next section because I broke my wireless microphone. So we're going to continue here. We are going to be screwing, there's a small clear piece that gets screwed into that reactor ring, which you see me doing right here. Gets 2 screws. Next, we move on to the Mr. Fusion. We take the 2 halves, put them together, screw them together. Did I mention before how small these screws are? Alright, the 2 halves of the Mr. Fusion are screwed together. Now I'm looking here because it's telling me I need some parts, which I don't see here. There's some clear parts that go on there, and I just can't quite seem to find them, so I go back to the box, and I look in the box, and as I open this, boom, 2 clear pieces come flying out of the box. So obviously they're the ones I'm missing. Actually, there were 3 of them. All 3 of those clear pieces go into the Mr. Fusion. They just press fit in. And there you go. There's your Mr. Fusion all sized up and assembled. Now you also notice that there's the black reactor ring right there with a yellow top. You can make this model up in one of 2 ways. With a reactor from part 1, which is just the plutonium, or you can make it like Back to the Future, the second one, where there is, of course, the Mr. Fusion. I think I'm going to go with using the Mr. Fusion, because that's just cooler. Now that's the reactor top for the original Back to the Future 1. Oh, you know, I stand corrected. That is actually the top that goes on the reactor tube right there. And the Mr. Fusion, you're going to see in a couple seconds, is going to sit on top of that. Yeah, the Mr. Fusion goes right on top of there. I'm going to screw that in there. And there it is with the hinge. Now this red piece I'm picking up here is actually the locking mechanism that keeps the Mr. Fusion locked down. Now that piece is pretty small, and it goes on another hinge assembly, which once the whole hinge assembly is made up, and then it gets attached to the Mr. Fusion reactor tube that you see us doing right there. I'm going to screw that hinge assembly onto the Mr. Fusion reaction tube, or reactor tube. Now it's hard to tell, but if you can see that little red clasp, there you go, right there. Underneath that, you're supposed to put two small springs in there, I guess, to keep that latch closed. But that latch, is pretty snug. It stays in place. And when I tried to put the spring in, one flew off somewhere, and so I decided not to do any of them. Now we're taking the whole Mr. Fusion assembly and we're putting it on what will eventually sit in on the trunk of the DeLorean. And that is it for that issue. I wanted to recap real quick what we did from the previous build, and that was the driver's side fender and the rear bumper. So here's everything we have so far, which is the fender, the rear bumper, one tire, and the reactor core made up whichever way you want to do it, the Mr. Fusion or from Back to the Future 1 with the plutonium. And if you notice, I'm just talking away to the camera, having no idea that my camera, or the wireless mic rather, is not working. I'm going to move on now to the left and right suspension parts. This is going to be for one side. I'm going to screw these two arms together. After the two control arms, or I guess their control arms are screwed together, you take the strut, and we're going to install that in there. That just slips right through there on the lower, like I said, I think it's the control arm. And then it just gets screwed in there. After the strut is all screwed in, you take the spring, slip it over the strut, and the top of the control arm then gets screwed into place. And there's what the finished assembly looks like. Upper and lower arms with the strut with the spring, which actually compresses. Next, you have to attach this U-shaped device on the top of the control arm assembly. Not quite sure what that's called, but it gets screwed in there. Okay, so we fixed the sound problem. We also ran out of, for some reason the video stopped recording. I have no idea why. So we were just finishing up this one control arm and this, I guess, like a strut, and the spring is pretty darn strong on here. Here's an actual, I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a spring on there. Okay, so that is done. I'm going to put that here. And next is the left to front brake. Take this tiny little thing. Oh, need this. It wants me to take this spring. I mean, they use some crazy small springs on this. I said that before. And I'm supposed to put the spring on this little tiny part here. Let me take this. And it's supposed to go in here. And a DP switch, or DP switch, DP screw. Okay, so the reason I need the pliers, it's kind of hard for you to see, but when you do your kit, you'll see. I've got to tighten this screw all the way down, but I need to hold, oh, there's a magnet there. So I need to hold that there so I can screw it because it keeps turning. Okay, it's in. That's done. All right. Next. So we have this. And we need to take, is it this? I think so. Oh, I guess this is going to be the caliper. All right, now I get to put them all together. See how that works. Hold this here. Hold this over here. Okay, I'm going to back up here. I don't know, we missed something. Sure did. A whole step. Go! Supposed to use DM screws. Okay, so now we have that on there. We already did the left front brake. Let me move back to here. So now maybe this will make some more sense. Ah, I know what this is. And I'll show this to you as soon as I'm done. It's held on there by a magnet. And this also gets a DM screw. Okay, I hope you can see this because I don't have any video anymore or that I can look at. Okay, so here we got the assembly, and this has got the magnet I was talking about. This rotates down. As you can probably guess, this is for in part 2 where it was converted to a hovercraft. Pretty cool. Okay, so that's done. And that ends issue 5. Which now brings us to the last issue for this one, issue 6. On to issues 6, which from these parts would be pretty much identical to just putting this together. This time we'll follow all the steps. All right, we want this. Let's bring this closer. Don't need this anymore. And we take strut, put that in. Okay, spring goes over the strut. Now we secure the strut to the top of the arm. Need 2 DMs. Skip the step again. Now we can put in this. When you're making videos like this, you're supposed to engage the audience by continually talking. I have not been doing that because I've been sitting here trying to put these screws in with my tongue hanging out my mouth. Okay, that's there. Now we need the screw. Put that away. We pick this up. Seems to have a screw on it. I don't know what screw that is. Okay. Well, it's moving along fairly quicker than last time. Brake caliper. That's done. DM screw. Do need to get this in there a little bit more. I have to leave that as is. Maybe that's as far as it goes in. Okay, we have that. And it's telling me everything should look exactly like how we have it looking. So that is it for episode. This is it for issue 6. Oh, we've done 3, 4, 5, and 6. Put them in the nifty little holder. I'll do that a little later. So let's clean this up so we can go over what we did. And again, I don't feel like I did you guys justice in showing you what we did. Okay, today, here's what we did. We put together one lonely tire. We put together 2 front wheel assemblies. And we put together the Mr. Fusion reactor. And we also did the reactor top. These are two, let's see if I can show you. These are two different versions, okay? This is from part 1 where he had the normal, you know, radiation for 1.2, 1.21 gigawatts. And this is for part 2 where he converted it over to Mr. Fusion. So you get to choose, you know, which version you want. Personally, how can you not say yes to the Mr. Fusion? I think that's what we'll probably be going with. And combine that with the parts we did last time, which was the fender, driver's side fender, and the rear bumper. Okay, so that is issues 3, 4, 5, and 6, like we said. So next issue we'll do, or the next video will be 7, 8, 9, and 10. And that'll be out in about a week. And we'll see what nifty parts we've got then. Okay, like we just said, that ends issues 3, 4, 5, and 6. And like I said before, we'll be doing 7, 8, 9, and 10 on the next video. I hope you enjoyed following me along, as this is a very slow build, but we'll get there. Especially since I got 10 months worth of parts over here, so we can put one out once a week. And I hope you can follow me along with this, especially with some of the upgrades we have coming. So if you like this video, be sure to hit like. If you want to see more of what we have coming out, be sure to hit the subscribe button and also hit that bell so you're alerted when things come out. So until next time, thanks for stopping by the Maker's Cave.